Hello and welcome in the new Antioch Eire Rangers video, and this is a quite interesting sub-warband. As far as I know, it's not too popular, but quite interesting. And you have the lieutenant here, 2 sniper priest, 2 trench cleric, which is quite interesting, and also you can have 4 combat engineer. The rest is same as for the generic new Antioch. Of course, the devil lies in the details, and for them the special rules they have is quite interesting, as it makes them like a fast-moving warband kind of. And the first rule is that they're getting anointed ammunition, which is give them access to the armor-piercing bullets, and about it a little bit later, but I think it's a quite interesting option for them. Next rule is the Berserker, which says that either the Lieutenant or 1 Fianna unit can be upgraded to be the Berserker for your warband for 15 ducat, and in exchange this unit cannot have armor, but in exchange it gets the negate fear keyword and cannot get any blood marker during the game. So it's quite interesting one, and I believe it's maybe better on the Lieutenant, but if anyone tested it on the Fianna, as usual, drop it in the comments to tell how it worked out. But for me, it seems to be a better option for the Lieutenant. The Carnix is very simple. It just says that 1 musical instrument also getting the fear keyword. So whichever unit gets the instrument also having the fear keyword. It's quite interesting, and technically just makes the instrument bearer harder to kill with melee attack. The Fianna itself, however, is quite interesting. Technically means that all your shock trooper, let's call them Fianna, just to make it specialized. For 10 ducat they get the infiltrator and skirmisher keyword, and that's quite funny because it means you can have 5 infiltrator units right up at the starting of the game mid-board or right close to the deployment of your opponent, and 2 of them can be, for example, the fire team, so I mean 2 pair the fire team, so it's quite interesting. The followers of St. Patrick, it's only important if you play in campaign, as it just simply says that your patron is always the learned saint. The hit and run tactics, it's quite helpful for your melee units, let's say, as when you retreat, simply your enemy gets -1 dice for the melee attack, so it's possibly less chanceful that your unit is going to get killed. The light infantry rule is quite tricky. It says that you can have maximum 1 heavy infantry, 4 combat engineer instead of 2, and because of that you can have maximum 4 satchel charge. So it's quite interesting. And other than that, there is 3 other modifications, let's say, for the weapon availability. One is that you can have maximum 3 great sword, but none of them can go to the mechanized heavy infantry you have, but in exchange only your heavy infantry can have any weapon or ranged or melee that can have the heavy keyword. So it's quite tricky in that meaning. And also, of course, the combat engineers can have the satchel charge. So it's kind of mean that other than the 3 great sword, all of your units have, let's say, light weaponry only. And as a, let's say, bonus, only your heavy infantry can have reinforced or machine armor, which means your entire warband is in standard armor, other than that mechanized heavy infantry, of course. The loose formation says or means that your lieutenant doesn't have the hold your fire ability as other lieutenant, but in exchange it's getting the skirmisher keyword for free. Now, is it good or bad? I let you to decide. I think it's a useful ability to have the skirmisher, of course, but losing the hold your fire is also kind of painful, let's say, but it makes the Fianna, or let's say generally the Eire Rangers, more simple warband, let's say. And the strong in fate, it's saying that you can have 2 trench cleric, and other than that, the trench cleric you have doesn't have access to the onward Christian soldiers ability, but instead it's getting the Arise and Be Healed and the Away Serpents actions or abilities. And the Arise and Be Healed is the same as for the Papal State's cleric ability. So within 3 inch you can make a friendly unit or the trench cleric to stand up and remove the free blood or infection marker and infection marker. So it's quite a good one. And the Away Serpent is again a very interesting one, as it risky roll, and if it's successful, simply you nominate 1 enemy model within 12 inch that crawls on the ground, let's say. And the state is down. So technically you can disrupt the movement phase of an important model, which is kind of close. Of course, there is a downside that if the model is on a greater than 40mm base, it gets -1 dice for the roll, so it's mostly easier to pass this roll on a smaller unit. As for the units we have affected by the special rules of the Eire Rangers, the first one is the Lieutenant, and as I mentioned, it has the skirmisher keyword by default, and optionally you can buy the berserker skill for it, and it doesn't have the usual ability. And very roughly this is what it possibly looks like. The berserker is optional, either you give it to the lieutenant or one of the shock trooper, but I feel like that it's better on the lieutenant due to the better fighting stats for +2/+2, and yeah, I think that's all in general. As for the shock trooper, if you pay the +10 ducat, which is worth it, I think, that in that case it's getting the skirmisher keyword and the infiltrator, and in that case probably the infiltrator is the better one, or the more useful one, as it's helping you to be in position even before the game starts, either for a good charge or immediately capturing important objectives. So I think it's pretty good and definitely worth the 10 credit or ducat. And the skirmisher is, it's not always considered a good skill, but I think it can be quite helpful, especially on that many unit, that you can possibly avoid the melee fight and you can be the one who's charging in instead. So, and especially don't forget that the skirmisher is also on the lieutenant, so it's very powerful, and also you get, or not you, but your opponent gets -1 dice for the retreat attack. So it can be quite important all in all, I guess. As for the trench cleric, with the 2 extra ability, the profile looks like the following. You have all the free ability on it, and that makes it a very different one compared to the Papa States cleric, especially because of the Away Serpents ability, but that's definitely also a good combination for a trench cleric. As for the BattleKit, the modification due to the Great Sword Axe is the following. In case of the satchel charge, it's a limit 4, and the armor looks like the following due to the modification thanks to the mechanized heavy infantry, or let's say the light skirmisher mentality of the warband. And which is more interesting and deserves some thoughts and comment is the armor piercing bullet, as you can have 2 of them, and you can give it to any weapon that doesn't have any blast, fire, gas or shrapnel keyword, and gives them the armor piercing keyword. And that makes quite interesting one, because it means you can give the armor piercing to the machine gun, for example, or sniper rifle, or automatic rifle, bolt action rifle, semi-automatic, submachine gun. So I think it's a quite interesting one, and it makes the warband quite interesting, because mostly it wants to be a fast melee army, but at the same time you can make very scary ranged weapons with the bullets as well. Of course it's a consumable one, so you need to buy it after every match, so it means you need to spend some money on it, but I think it's a very important extra for the warband. As for the patron for the warband in campaign, I think it's a pretty good one, the Learned Saint. It possibly gives you extra glory, money, you can reroll result on the injury chart, increasing the unit or BattleKit availability, or simply just gives you the option to choose any skill. So I think it's not a bad one, so it's not a reason to be sad about it that you're forced to use this one. So as for campaign, I would say for promotion, since you only have one mechanized heavy infantry, that's your main candidate to promote, and after that I believe it's really up to what type of warband you play. So if you have more shock trooper or Fianna, I think that's your secondary option to promote, or if you have more combat engineer, maybe it's worth to promote them instead. So it makes it a very different one compared to, for example, the generic New Antioch or the Prussians, or even the Papa States, because there, for example, it worth more to think about maybe the mercenaries to promote. So it's quite interesting. And as for just general closing thoughts, I think based on the lore drop we had earlier about the invasion of Eire, it's very much feels like a fast attacking skirmisher warband based on the warband rules. So it's really like what you expect based on the lore drop, that they are like fighting against the invasion and they are always in the move. So they are really fast, don't have fast weapons too much, but they are very agile and just all the time trying to avoid melee or getting out very easily thanks to the minus dice and then charge back in, for example. So I think it's a quite interesting warband. I didn't really check them too deeply until now, but I see some very interesting possibility with them all in all, to be honest. So, and again, if any of you plays Eire, let us know or let me know what tactics you have or what is your favorite combination so far or what works for you, because it would be interesting to see the experience from active players. And yeah, thank you for listening and watching, and see you in the next video. Thank you and bye bye.